Ja, nå skrudde du av lyden din, Geir. Nå hører vi ingenting.
Det minner meg på, jeg må bytte til et nett som fungerer.
Brian, skru på lyden. Geir, skru på lyd.
Hei, jeg har lyd, jeg!
Bare hold den sånn. Et eller annet rart skjedde med Geir der.
Det skal alltid starte sånn, skal det ikke det?
Jo.
Her i Lampeland så har det vært dårlig med dekning, for å si sånn.
Vi var på Lampeland skole, en sånn skole som vi var det. Et stykke å kjøre.
1,5 time, ikke sant? Something like that.
Ja.
Men har du ikke video i dag, Brendan?
Jeg er på fotballkamp. Så jeg kan, altså... Hvor er video? Start video. Sånn.
Sånn, ja! Nydelig!
Det skal jeg ikke ha, så jeg bare vinker. Jeg kan gjøre det bare i starten. Katrine, du tar opp. Geir, syngestemmen på. Brian, syngestemmen på. Katrine har hatt bursdag. 1, 2, 3.
Hurra for deg som fyller ditt år, ja deg vil vi gratulere. Alle ring omkring deg, vi står og ser når vi vil marsjere. Bukke, nikke, neie, snu oss omkring, danse for deg med hopp og sprett og spring. Si meg så... Gratulere!
Så vil du med det. Gratulere.
Og så skal jeg hilse deg fra Gorm, Katrine.
Oi, så spennende. Hvem går Gorm Eriksen?
Stemmer det?
Wow. Hvordan kjenner du han?
Jeg jobbet med han i Statkraft.
Kult.
Og så kom han over YouTuben. Så en bilde av oss på YouTube da, vet du, og da... Ikke en melding.
Ja, det er lenge siden jeg har sett den.
So, we are already recording, right? So we should just switch to English and get on to it.
Okay, so till next time, then we have to choose the birthday song, so we don't... But it was great, though. Like, one in Norwegian, one in English, one in what other language, I don't know.
Well, we actually did that in the company that Brendan and I worked together in before. And every time somebody had a birthday, everybody would sing their own national version of Happy Birthday. And we were so many different nationalities. It was a complete cacophony. So, yeah.
That was cool.
Okay. So, what's happening?
Sorry?
What's happening?
So we have 4 topics.
We have 4 topics.
Yes. Do you want to bring on 2 other ones since we have like 6 numbers on the dice? So we have how to effectively help others, how to stay positive through the winters, and how to prepare for death. That's yours, I think. And why you should or should not think before you speak.
Right.
Okay, I've got one that I can add in then because I know that Geir will be good at talking about it, so get another number ready. This one is how to deal with bad conscience. So there's a lot of people going around with bad conscience, a lot of teenagers going around with bad conscience, like even down to kids at this moment are going around with bad conscience because something they've done or haven't done on social media. So how to deal with bad conscience is another one we could add.
Okay. Do you have any, Brian?
No, I've given you mine.
Okay, let's we will try. If it's number 6, then we do a do-over, isn't it so?
I can throw in another one, which is very simple. I would cover that in about 2.5 minutes. But effective meetings. Because there's so much wasted time, especially in business, where people are just wasting time having meetings and upon meetings and going out of meetings and feeling very little productive, you know, and so how to make meetings more effective. Yeah.
Roll the dice.
Number 4. Why you should or should not think before you speak.
Okay, this was Brian's.
Where did this come from, Brian?
Suggestion.
The suggestion comes from, I hear that people say that you should think before you speak, but I don't know how to. Sometimes I try and I stop up and try to think, but I can't. whatever comes out, comes out. That's me. That's how it is.
What's your opinion about it, Geir?
I'm not such a fan of thinking in general. So as I'm more of a fan of acting, and speaking without thinking would be acting without thinking, and I think that's a better idea than going around trying to self-censure or trying to figure before you speak. The problem with that is that you stop people from viewing, and you stop yourself from viewing your own failures, because you try to catch the failures before they reach the mouth. And if you try to catch the failures, you don't actually know if it's a failure or not, because the audience is never there to evaluate what should have come out of your mouth. So if you instead stop this idiotic think, and then speak, and just speak, then you will step in it, and you will be, you will do fails left and right, and that's okay, because then you can evaluate afterwards by your audience response. If you never get to evaluate your own failures, you will never learn from them either. So I think it's a bad idea to think before you speak. You should just burst out anything, and whatever happens, happens, and then you correct after the fact rather than before the fact. Because it's very seldom that you say something that will be a matter of life or death if you say something wrong. There could be, and we could be very contrived, and we can come up with situations where, yes, if you said blah, blah, the guy would actually die. But they are so seldom and so rare situations that I don't think that would be governing the, it should be just speak and then see what happens.
But can we connect this a little bit to the what Brendan said about having a bad conscience? Because I think I feel like many times when I speak, I got like, maybe I offend people, or I'd say something stupid that maybe somebody takes the wrong way or whatever. Any advice about that?
Yeah, do it. Because if you never step across the line, you don't know where the line is. You don't know if it's 2 centimeters or 2 kilometers to the line if you never cross it. So the point of figuring out where the boundaries in life is actually sometimes stepping across the boundaries, saying something foolish, offending some people, etc. Today I had an interesting conversation with somebody in a meeting, when I also said, being offended on behalf of somebody else, which is very, very common these days. Oh, I'm so offended on behalf of women, or on behalf of this minority group, or on behalf of this or that or the other. One becomes offended not on behalf of oneself, but on behalf of somebody else. And that is so arrogant. It's like telling the minority group that I don't think you can get offended correctly on your own, so I need to be offended on your behalf. That's really bad. That's talking down to the minority group and say, yeah, I don't think you can actually achieve offending yourself in any way I think is correct. So I'm going to be offended for you. So that's just a sidetrack. But to offend people, we are getting so afraid of offending people that we never step across the line, which is a problem, because you never get to the point where you can correct your own mistakes. Self-censure is a problem in the society.
Yeah, so I think I need like a practical tips about that, just talking about myself. So because I think there's a lot of, I don't know what you call it, like web trolls or whatever. If I say something wrong, then you always see the web trolls, or you at least think that way, right?
I can come in here.
Yeah.
There's 2 things. Number one, no, it's cold here tonight. I should turn my camera around, but I don't know how to do that. Here it is. So I'm at the football match tonight. There you guys go. It's halftime and back. So there's 2 things. Number one is that people usually think that it's quality over quantity. And that's something we should definitely always ask a question and we think we know what we should post on social media. So we're looking for the top quality, but to really figure out what people would like posts from on social media, we should do much more quantity. So it's usually it's like kids do this. Kids just talk and talk and talk and talk, and they go all in on quantity before they get to quality, what they actually should say. And if you're trying to get into more playful areas and definitely brainstorming at work or creative sessions or anything, you definitely have to go in on the quantity of ideas instead of the quality ideas. If you start on quality, it's a really bad way to start it, because then the amount of good ideas will not come up. That's number one. Number two, this idea of offending. It's usually described as the ultimate slavery, that if somebody gets offended by, lets themselves get offended by these words that come out of my mouth, it's like I've got that person as my slave. If whatever I say and they get offended by it, it's like I've got them. And this is like the trick that we used to do in the football pitch, is like, okay, I've got them now because I said something, I got them off their game. And that's like we're totally surrendering to the other person. That's two things to get us started.
And Geir?
Yeah, I think Brendan is completely correct on this. And I know there is a very cool video that we should perhaps find and post in the comment section after this video. And that is John Cleese talking about this subject on offending people. And he's like really raw on this. He says, you shouldn't be bothered by either being offended, because if you get offended, that's a choice you have. It's actually a choice you have. Any emotion, any thought, anything that happens in your head is a choice made by you. It has nothing to do with the person in front of you. And this is something I coach when I do mental training with top athletes. When they go to the Olympics or they go through, world championships, etc., there's so much stress around them. And if they get affected by that, that's a problem. Then they're not completely mentally here. And one time I remember Tiril, the biathlete, she said, it was so cool because I can hear the audience, going, wow, every time I hit the mark. And that was so good. I said, no, that's not good at all. That's actually very bad. The fact that they affect you means that, okay, it sounds good when they affect you positively, but that means they have a venue into you. You have given some of your ability to choose and your ability to be here and now over to the audience. So what if they started booing instead? That will affect you negatively. But anything around you should not affect your game. They are not touching you. It's only sound. And if you let that sound affect your game, you're less of an athlete. You're more of a slave towards the environment around you. So if you're going to be really good, you just don't fucking care about whatever happens around you. You just do exactly what you're supposed to do. Ski fast, hit the target, and that's it.
So this was your topic, Brian. Does anything of this make sense to you, or where did you come from?
Well, yeah, as mentioned, I normally just speak and hopefully I hit the target. But I have a feeling that other people, the people who are good at speaking, that they actually think about it, and I don't understand how you should how can you be so good at articulating stuff, because it's really fun to listen to people who, I don't know if it's that they really are really good at the subject they are talking about, or if they just think about how should I put this sentence together. I don't know. That's.
I think one thing you can practice in that is you've got a wife, right, Brian? Yeah. So, I mean, one thing is that you definitely want to spend your life with a person that accepts you as you, with all the crazy, fucked up thoughts, with all the beautiful thoughts, with all of the sexy thoughts, with all of the totally far out thoughts, with everything. And this is this total acceptance of you, Brian, which means that one way to practice that is just, I wonder what would happen if I just let myself go without thinking with the most intimate person that you have in your life. Like, that's a really nice exercise to do. Kids do this naturally. Kids just sit down and they just talk and talk and talk, and whatever happens happens. But I think it's something that we maybe grow further away from throughout our lives. So to a practical tip that Katrina asked would be like, find a person that you that you can test this with and say, I wonder what would happen if we just like speak without even thinking, just like, let's just let ourselves go and just see what happens. And put off, oh, there's a goal.
Is our guy on the pitch now?
No, he's not on the pitch.
He's not on the pitch. What happened? Is he injured or?
No, he was warming up, but he's not on the pitch yet. But anyway,
okay.
That would be a really nice exercise to do to get back to this idea of play, where the play is to go into like a planned 20 minutes of let's just speak without thinking and see what happens. And it can be like gobbledygook, but just let it go, and then think afterwards, well, how was that? And then if you finally get around, like, well, this isn't that dangerous. I wonder if I could sit with my mother and just speak without thinking. I wonder if I sit with my father and speak without thinking. And then you can just like really like see. I wonder if people are open to accept me totally for who I am. That'd be really nice.
It's almost like practicing getting Tourette's.
Yeah, but I don't think you understand what I'm saying here.
I think I might understand because I have an answer for you. Before, let me just try, because I understand that you look up to or see people that you think are really good at speaking, right? And the question is, do they actually think before they speak, or have they just done it so many times that they become good at it? Because if you look at people on stage, let's say you have somebody who's really good as a public speaker. The reason why they're really good as a public speaker or stand-up comedian or anything like that is that because they have done it 10,000 times before. They've done it so many times that it becomes natural just doing it for them.
Yeah, that's a good point, because people think that I'm really improv when I'm on stage doing something, but I've done it like 600 times, maybe the same 1 hour I've done 600 times. So it's, but people think like, would probably guess at me that I can just speak freely, but I know it's coming anyway. And I know where people are going to laugh. I know where they're going to stop. I know what's going to happen. I know what's going to come. So it's, I don't know. I think like on stage, just totally going out without like something I've never done before and never said before, that would be definitely new for me.
And you know, Brian, it's better to actually be like you and just speak and not think than trying to become somebody else and think and then speak and then never get to learn from those mistakes, because you have an extremely good potential. If you just do it lots more, like being on stage or whatever, if you do it a lot more, you have a better chance of becoming really good if you're like you, rather than trying to self-censor everything before you speak. So I think you should just keep on being you.
Yeah, no plan to change that part, because yeah, well, yeah, I like to just go, and I feel that for me it's working. But the problem is that I get so, not triggered, but what should I say? Yep, triggered. If you pick a subject, and I'll just go boom with whatever comes up in my mind, right? And normally that works quite well. Sometimes you're just way off and no one understands what you're talking about, but yeah, that's how it is, I guess.
But I think that's okay. I think that's totally okay. As long as you're able to be correctable or teachable. So if somebody says, Brian, you're completely, totally off, just shut your mouth and listen. And if you're okay with that and say, okay, fine, I'm off. Okay, tell me why. And then the whole thing becomes natural and raw, and nobody's offended because I just tell you to shut up, that's fine, and you tell me to shut up, or we just start laughing together and everything is just fine. Then it doesn't become this socially acceptable, everybody has to do this before that, etc. I mean, I've been doing a lot of meetings in Japan, and Japanese people are very much so, they think before they speak always. They have to be polite, they have to do this, they have to do that, and then the sequence is correct, etc. So I just disclaimed that when I go into the meetings and said, you know, what you have now in this meeting is a Norwegian that speaks before he thinks. So I might blurp out with stuff, and I might offend some people, or you might think I'm totally fucking screwed up or whatever. But that's how I am. So if you don't like that, I'm willing to be thrown out of the meeting. I'm willing to you go, oh sir, you're not fit for this meeting. Please go. I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. But then they laugh, and then the whole meeting turns into something more natural than Japanese. And that's a contrast. Japanese is usually not natural because they don't speak what they think. And sometimes I go and, I really drill down. What do you really think? But sir, this is what I think. Yeah, but what do you really think? Not what your boss say you think, but what do you think? And sometimes they crack through that shell, and then their natural self comes out. And that's always more interesting than the polite business type of Japanese people.
But Geir, can I ask you then, in this context, like, what do these people fear about, like, speaking their minds? What's their
It's
biggest
always
fear?
Yes, fear of failing. It's fear of failing always.
So it's what you're talking about all the time here. I hear you say it all the time. It's like, do it and fail and get the feedback. So if I'm like being a better speaking or at this or whatever, I have to be like more not so afraid about failing.
Yeah, that is the bottom thing. That is the root problem that people have. And at the bottom of that, at the bottom of fear of failing, is the fear of death.
Yeah.
So the more afraid you are of dying, the more afraid you are of failing, the more you will self-censure, the more you will think before you speak, the more careful you will be, the more fucked up life you will have, because you're not living, you're actually just staying afloat in fear of death. So this brings it to the point where, when I talk to people who are afraid of flying, let's say they have an intense fear of flying. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah, keep that thought. I'm not bringing Brian in, because I know he was like, he had some point about before you're going further.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, good.
Yeah, regarding that, that you need to fail, but if you expect to fail, that's not a good thing, I think. Because
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you expect that everything you do in life you're gonna fail at.
No, but if you're going to try to play football, you can expect to fail. If you're going to try to be good at scoring penalties, you can expect to fail. If you're going to be good at singing, you can expect to be a lousy singer. If you're going to write a good book, you can expect to write a bad book. So there is a lot that you can sort of possibly know that you're going to fail. So it's not that you need to fail, but you have to accept that you're going to fail.
Yeah, the acceptance is one thing, but if you expect that you will always fail, you will feel lesser, I guess. You will feel, if you feel that everything you do is fail.
But I think there's a big word about everything.
Oh, but that's different. That's how we define fail. Yeah, but if you change the word failure to learn, then it becomes something totally different.
Yeah, because a very good proverb is, it's never a failure unless you stop. So if you stop, it's a failure. But if you continue to try, then it's not a failure. So if you expect to fail, that everything you're going to do, if you start juggling, you must expect the ball will fall, or the balls will fall to the ground, and gazillion times. But it's not a failure if you don't stop. It's only a failure if you stop. So at the end, you can expect to be really good at it because you didn't stop. The same with being on stage and speaking. If you don't stop trying, if you don't stop doing it, even though you failed abysmally at some stage, you just keep going, and at the end you will become good, and then you don't fail.
I think I was trying to think, like, when's the last time that I was really thinking about what to say before I said it, and the things that have jumped in my head are teenagers that have told me that they're thinking about suicide, and then I sort of knew that I hadn't got this knowledge or the right things to say, and the consequences could be pretty serious. So then I was like falling into this, oh my God, if I don't say the right thing, this teenager is going to take suicide. So that's like what jumped into my head. But then it was also true that the more that happens, then it's like I know that as long as what I say is like 100% honest of how I can help that person, then that's how it ended up. But the first time I was sort of like scared shit. Oh my God, what if I say the wrong thing here? It's totally crazy.
I
And
also
also, it's the fact that if you say something and you feel it's a complete failure, or people are just staring at you blankly or looking down towards the floor or whatever, then you can just pick it up and say, okay, so I feel that I said something really stupid here. Well, can somebody give me some feedback? Because now I feel like a failure in this meeting. If you just keep on talking about what you feel, people will help you. They are very willing to help you, but not if you act arrogantly or act as if it wasn't a failure. Just be completely honest about whatever you do, whatever you say. If it's a failure, admit it, get the feedback, keep going.
That's really nice if people actually said the feeling, but a lot of people don't actually say the feeling. They say, I feel like that was a bit strange, and that's not a feeling. So like getting people to say what they actually feel would also help in that sort of way as well.
Yeah, true.
I want to just jump in on this one, because I think that the more you think, like you say, and you don't have passion for it, and you do speak your mind, then you won't have followers. Of course, you will offend somebody maybe, but you won't get the kind of followers you want. Right?
I didn't get that really.
Oh, sorry.
Give me that again.
So if you don't speak your mind or are passionate about it, or it's your own opinion, you have to like talk about or think before you speak or analyze it or whatever. It doesn't feel right. It feels fake for those who are listening.
Exactly. I agree completely. And this is what you have with companies like EY or PwC or Accenture, etc. They are so groomed, they are so dressed up, they are so suited up and tied up with their ties around their neck, and everything is completely perfect looking. And everything that comes out of their mouth is completely drilled down to the last little slide and the last little dot, and it looks completely polished and very much faked. Not honest, not raw, not themselves at all. And I would rather have a consultant to speak his mind completely truthfully than somebody who speaks what I think I would, or what he thinks I would like to pay for. You see? So yes, you need the passion.
I got a good example.
The passion brings with it rawness and honesty.
So I got a good example of that today. There was a recording on a virtual meeting today of Teams, and there's somebody trying to get external consultants to do a project, and they were speaking for about an hour, and it was very formal, and everything was going, and then the external people, they left, but the meeting kept going. So, and then there's talking like behind their backs and saying, yeah, but we haven't talked about price yet. They're going to charge us money, and how are we going to get this, and how are we going to do this? And then somebody realized, like after about 20 minutes, this recording is going to be available to everybody. We have to make sure to delete this part of the recording, delete it. And I was like, but isn't this exactly what you want? Don't you want them to hear you talking freely? And they were totally freaking out. And this is really like to the point. It's like, oh my God, what are they going to think if they hear this? And I was like, they're going to hear your honest thoughts. It's like, that's exactly what you want them to hear, right? And then we got into that discussion, what they actually wanted them to hear.
So Brian, what do you think about that?
About what? The recording?
No,
all of this.
All of it.
Well, yeah, I am a fan of speaking without thinking. I was just wondering what you do, because I can't do it any other way. But I do see other people that are good and are good at articulate the sentences, and it all sounds well or interesting or
But that's practice, Brian. That's just practice. It's just practice. But the reason why you in every job that you've been in that I have heard somebody talk about you has been, Brian is a really empathetic, really honest and good guy. And I'd rather have that as a reputation than, yeah, he's really polished.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
You see, it's like, oh, he's a real human being, better than, oh, he's like AI, he's like artificial intelligence. No, I'd rather have Brian than an AI robot.
Thank you.
I also think maybe there's another, like, I don't know how to call it, like some kind of over responsibility about how those who are listening are taking it. Did you understand my question?
Yeah, I understand. But if you are starting to think about what I should respond to, or how I should think, or how I should feel, etc., I would rather take responsibility for that myself, rather than putting that into the lap of Catherine. So if I can please take responsibility for my own feelings and my own thoughts, and decide whether I should be offended or not, then you're granting me the power to be myself. But if you're taking some of that away from me, then you're not actually letting me be a free will being. So if I can be offended or not at my own accord, and let you be offended or not and feel whatever on your accord, then we can have an honest conversation, and you can say, oh, damn, that really hurt. That feels like horrible that you said that. And I said, oh, why? And then we have a discussion about why I said something that, offended you. And then I can learn from that. But if I never said it, I could never learn from it. So.
And I also think that's I love actually like bringing this forward as one great point, that you don't have to rob those who are listening for, like you said, feeling the way they feel. That's their choice.
Yeah, that is their choice. And, making everything safe is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. This is something I'm passionate about. We should have some terrorism in the world, and the planes should fall down sometimes, and people should get blown up sometimes, but not to a large extent, but a little bit, because if we get to a position where everything is safe, everything becomes boring. We should have this excitement that, oh, I'm in an airplane, maybe it will fall down. It's actually a good thing, because it brings people to life more. If everything was completely safe, there was all, safety rails, and then all things are just caught before they become a failure, then life becomes so fucking boring. And this is the reason. This is one of the common denominators of why I see that 16-year-olds are contemplating suicide. It's too safe. Life has no downside. It's just, I can get whatever I'm pointing at. I can get this in the game. I can get this feeling by going high. I can get this girl. I can get that girl. Anything can be sort of gotten. And if that happens, it becomes really boring. And by that, dangerous.
Oh, I think also that we're usually people are usually most afraid of offending the people that we don't like, but we're less afraid of offending people that we like. Example, I can come home and I can have a bad day and I can say something that's not really nice to Margrethe, and I know that that's going to be okay. But people that I don't like and I'm trying to find approval for them, then I'm sort of like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? That's a bit fun whenever you get into that scenario.
Yeah. I have a very soon to come technical issue, because now my telephone tells me that I'm down to 5% juice or battery. And
Okay,
after that, it doesn't take many seconds before it goes blank.
Okay, then you can go first. Let's say one practical thing out of this. Let's find like that each of us can come up with.
I think what you
charger?
said. I think you should just practice what Brendan said, and take a moment with somebody who is very, very intimate with you, somebody you love and that loves you back, and then have some sessions with total honesty. Let's speak your complete mind about anything that happens and see what happens, because that person will love you back and will want to help you and will try to help you correct the failures, rather than hitting at you and berate you for the failures that you did. So that's a good practical tip section. But now I'm giving them your practical tip, but it was good.
Oh. Guide is always us.
Yeah.
You have another one, Brendan?
Happy birthday, Katrina.
Oh my God.
My beautiful, amazing neighbor. Happy birthday.
So I think we'll wrap it up like a little bit earlier this time. So
Yeah, we need to.
you can enjoy the game and you can charge your battery. And Brendan, I hope to see you. Brian, I hope to see you next week.
Yeah. Okay, see you next week.
Excellent. That was an excellent subject, Brian.
Perfect.
Cool.
So I will post
Okay.
it.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.